This podcast is brought to you by Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with a mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcasts and harness the power of podcasting. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production. GMG, your guide to Australian Dream. Learn how to make your Australian dreams come true with GMG Visa Solutions, your guide to Australian Dream. This fortnightly podcast provides general advice about migration law and practice, whether it be for studying, working, visiting, migrating to Australia, petitioning for your visa refusal or cancellation, or obtaining Australian citizenship. GMG Visa Solutions got you covered. GMG, your guide to Australian Dream.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of GMG Visa Solutions, your guide to Australian Dream. This is your host, Jeroslyn Glico-Kowarskis, and this is brought to you by Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate and Auspod Syndicate, independent podcast networks for people worldwide. To learn more, please visit www.guerrillapodcast.com.ph and www.australiapodcastsyndicate.com. For today's episode, we will introduce to you Subclass 491. This subclass is also known as a Skilled Work Regional Provisional Visa. This temporary visa is for skilled people nominated by a state or territory government to live and work in regional Australia. For those who like, follow, and share our Facebook page GMG Visa Solutions and also our podcast, thank you very much and may you continue to support us. Also, thank you for those who have sent their inquiries, and rest assured that we will reply to you and provide you with general advice. If you want comprehensive and specific advice tailored to your circumstances, please do not hesitate to contact us. Australian migration laws are constantly changing. The general advice we provide on this podcast is current at the time that we made the recording. Because how often migration law changes, the general information provided today may not be applicable tomorrow. That is why GMG Visa Solutions is here for you. Just a reminder as well, whatever we talked about on this podcast are only general information, not in any way specific, and this is due to everyone having different circumstances. So let's begin. As mentioned earlier, Skilled Work Regional Provisional Visa, or Subclass 491, enables skilled people nominated by state or territory government to work and live in regional Australia. Aside from being nominated by a state or territory government, you can also obtain this visa if you have an eligible relative to sponsor you.
Your podcast journey starts here. Take the first step on your side. Hustle with us. It starts with a great domain. Get your podcast web host with Beard and Coffee at www.beardandcoffee.com.au or find us at Facebook.
With this visa, you can stay in Australia temporarily for 5 years from the date that you were granted this visa. You can live, work, and study in designated regions of Australia. You can travel to and from Australia as many times as you want while the visa is valid and if there are no travel restrictions in place. Furthermore, you can apply for permanent residency if you're eligible through the Permanent Residence Skilled Regional Visa Subclass 191, which starts on 16th of November 2022. You cannot apply for any other permanent visas until you have held your Subclass 491 for 3 years. You may be wondering what areas are considered designated regional area. Well, the Department of Home Affairs provide postcodes of designated regional areas for each state and territory. You can view the list of postcodes in the Department of Home Affairs website. The visa application charge for Subclass 491 is 4,045 Australian dollars for the main applicant. For secondary applicants, it is 2,025 Australian dollars for each dependent 18 years and over and 1,010 Australian dollars for under 18 years of age. A second installment of payment may be required if any secondary applicant 18 years old or older has less than functional English. It is considered that you have functional English if you meet one of the following requirements. First requirement is that if you are a citizen of and the holder of a valid passport issued by United Kingdom, United States of America, Canada, New Zealand, or the Republic of Ireland. Second requirement is that if you have completed a relevant approved English language test or assessment. And lastly, you are considered to have functional English if you have undertaken relevant education. You only pay for the second installment if you are asked to pay by the Department of Home Affairs. You can be in or outside Australia, but not in immigration clearance when you apply for this visa and when a decision is granted on your application.
This podcast is brought to you by Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with a mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcast and harness the power of podcasting.
If you are in Australia when you apply for this visa, you must hold a substantive visa or a bridging visa A, a bridging visa B, or a bridging visa C. Otherwise, your application will be deemed invalid. You can include your family members with you when you apply for this visa. Alternatively, your family member can apply for this visa under the subsequent entrant category if they wish to join you in Australia and you are the primary holder of the Subclass 491 visa. Usually, secondary applicants apply for this visa at the same time as the primary visa applicant. In some instances, this is not possible due to the changes in family composition after the primary visa applicant has completed his or her visa application already. That is when you need to apply for Subclass 491 under the subsequent entrant. The visa validity for subsequent entrant depends on the length of the visa of the primary applicant. The processing time for this visa is unavailable at this stage. Applications are assessed currently on case-to-case basis. If granted this visa, the Department of Home Affairs will digitally link your visa to your passport. You do not need a label or a sticker in your passport to enter Australia. Let's now go to the eligibility requirement for Subclass 491. So for Subclass 491, the eligibility criteria are as follows. First, you must be invited to apply. You can only apply for this visa if the Department of Home Affairs provide you with an invitation. Before you get invited, you must submit an expression of interest or EOI in Skills Select and indicate if an eligible relative is going to sponsor you for this visa or if you want a state or territory government agency to nominate you. The Skill Select program can be found on the Department of Home Affairs website. Another eligibility requirement is that your occupation must be on the combined list of eligible skilled occupations for Skilled Regional Subclass 491 visa. Each state and territory governments may have different skilled occupation list requirements. You have to contact them directly to find out more. Third eligibility requirement is that you must either be nominated by a state and territory government agency or an eligible relative to sponsor you. When you submit an expression of interest for the visa through this Skill Select program, you can get an estimate of your points as well. If you get enough points, the state and territory government agencies can see your EOI and might nominate you for the visa. Contact them directly to find out more about their nomination process and what they require from you. If you indicate in your EOI that you will be sponsored by an eligible relative, the department may invite you to apply for a visa in an invitation round. Your sponsor must be 18 years or older, usually resident in a designated area of Australia, and be your relative who holds either Australian citizenship, Australian permanent residency, or an eligible New Zealand citizenship. An eligible relative can be a parent, a child or stepchild, a brother, sister, adoptive brother, adoptive sister, stepbrother or stepsister, an aunt, uncle, adoptive uncle, step aunt or step uncle, a nephew, niece, adopted nephew, adopted niece, step nephew or step niece, a grandparent, or a first cousin.
So you want to start a podcast, or perhaps you've already started one, but you're still unclear on how you can actually make this podcasting work. No worries. That's why we're here for you. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Join our network. Contact us at info@kangaroofern.com.
Sponsorship must be approved by the Department of Home Affairs before a visa can be granted. Another requirement for the Subclass 491 visa is that you must be under 45 years old when you apply. If you turn 45 years old after you receive your invitation, then you can still proceed with the visa application. However, if you turn 45 after you submit your EOI but before you get invited, then you will not receive an invitation from the Department of Home Affairs. You must have a suitable skills assessment for the occupation. Your skills assessment must have been obtained in the 3 years before the date of your invitation. You must satisfy the point test. When you submit your EOI in Skill Select, you will be given an indicative point score based on the claims that you have made. If you do not obtain a score of at least 65 points, you will not be invited to apply for this visa. The higher the score, the better chances of getting invited. At the time of application, if you are the main applicant, you must have competent English. For secondary applicants, you must have functional English or pay the second installment amount prior to the visa being granted. The other eligibility requirements are as follows. You must meet the character requirement. You must meet the health requirement. You must sign the Australian value statement that confirms that you will respect the Australian way of life and obey the Australian laws. You must not owe any money to the Australian government, and if in any case you have outstanding debts, then it must be paid off first prior to the visa application. Also, if you are onshore, you must not have any visa cancellation or previous visa application refusal. Let's now go to the visa conditions for the Skilled Work Regional Provisional Visa or Subclass 491. So visa conditions are like limitations or restrictions or rules applicable to a person who is a lawful non-citizen of Australia. If these visa conditions are attached to the visa grant notice, the person must abide with it, otherwise the visa may be cancelled. You must obey Australian laws. So what are the potential conditions that may be attached to Subclass 491 visa? At the moment, there are 5 potential conditions. The first condition is 8515, which requires you not to marry or enter in a de facto relationship before your entry to Australia. Condition 8575 states that you must notify the department if your passport or contact details has changed. Condition 8579 requires you to live, study, and work in designated regional areas only. Condition 8580 requires you to provide evidence of your residential, school, or work address if requested by the department. And lastly, Condition 8581 states that you must attend an interview if you are asked by the department to do so.
We are Independent Podcast Network. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Would you like to hear your brand while supporting quality podcasts? Contact us now at advertise@guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com.
So that's it. These are the basic information you need to know about Subclass 491, which is the Skilled Work Regional Provisional Visa. If you have any questions or if there's any visa you want us to discuss on our podcast, please do not hesitate to contact us. We cannot stress enough that whatever we talked about on this podcast are only general information. This is not in any way specific. The reason being is because everyone has different circumstances. It is best that you contact us so we can guide and provide you with visa options suitable to your preference and also your needs. We listen to you and deliver you professional and flexible migration assistance that is catered for you. You can hear this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many other podcast platforms. Also, you can listen to us through other media platforms, so please do not forget to like, follow, and share our Facebook page, GMG Visa Solutions, and also our podcast. You can contact us directly through our Facebook page, email us at enquire@gmgvisasolutions.com.au, or visit our website directly at www.gmgvisasolutions.com.au for more information. We pride ourselves with well-trained consultants who are equipped and qualified to provide you with migration service wherever you are in the world. With our comprehensive knowledge and expertise on various migration issues, we can simplify it for you. No more complicated processes, just a straightforward approach that saves you time, money, and effort. So until next time, keep dreaming, keep praying. Dreams do come true. Thank you for listening to GMG Visa Solutions, your guide to Australian Dream. See you and may God bless us all. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to visit our website at www.guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. You can also join the conversation with Guerrilla Space We Space R on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please consider on making a donation to help us keep making the podcast you love. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.